Oh, well, I am very excited to be joined today by Tessa and Erin, who are the co-CEOs of the Myotherapy Association. Tessa, you've been handballed the introduction job. Can you give us an overview? What's the Myotherapy Association and what do you two do?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having us both on as well. So, Myotherapy Association has been around for quite some years now, and Erin and I have just taken this over in January, which is really exciting. And for us, Myotherapy Australia is an association, so an allied health association for myotherapists only. So we are the only association that solely advocates for myotherapy. And that is for myotherapy in a bachelor and also an advanced diploma. So we do a lot of advocacy work. We do a lot of work with our members in ensuring that their industry is current, keeping them up to date with all their private health funds. But essentially, as Myotherapy Australia, we are a single body for myotherapists nationwide, but also based in Victoria. Erin and I have come on in a very interesting role, the first time that we have seen co-CEOs. And we've just really taken on that decision as Erin and I both are still practicing myotherapists and very much enjoy being myotherapists, but realize that both of us have very different skill sets. So we thought a combination of our skill sets together would be a really nice fit for probably some developmental growth that the association needed to go through. And we thought that combining our skills together would really make the best change moving forward.
So good. I love it. Well done to you guys, and well done that you're both still friends and turning up to interviews at the same time on time. So well done.
Look, we're getting there.
Erin, yeah, getting there. Erin, would you be able to sort of talk me through what does the organisation look like from a workplace sort of setup? Is there an office? Is there meetups? What does it look like? How are you guys running this show?
Yeah. So we're running this show virtually. It's just a virtual existence for us. Yeah. So we are a virtual office without a physical office. We have a little storage unit in Melbourne, in Fitzroy, that sometimes will go down, and I'm like, oh, I'm going down into the office. But otherwise, yeah, we are virtual based, so our office exists on Teams, and we jump on the computer each morning and sign into Teams and switch our cameras on and say good morning, just like we're walking into the office. And we bring our co-workers with us to work as well. So my two co-workers are on the floor. But yeah, that's us. That's us. We are virtually working.
Yeah, that's so good. So who makes up your team? So you've got the two of you co-CEOing. Who else is involved in the organisation in your distributed team?
Yeah, we're at the front of the bicycle pedaling, and then behind us we have 3 staff members that sit behind us. So we have a association manager. We also have an events manager, and then we have an admin person as well. And we're all kind of spread across everywhere. We have myself and our events manager are located in Melbourne. Tessa, my co-CEO, is in Queensland. We have Madeline located. Look, I'm just going to be honest. I'm never entirely sure where she is, but she's in the middle of goddamn nowhere. You go to Bundaberg and then you keep going. Is the best that I can understand. I asked her how her day went the other day, and she said, I had to go out and meet the delivery guy on the main road. And I was like, okay, how long a drive was that, Madeline? And she's like, oh, a little bit. So she's in the middle of nowhere. And then our administration staff member is actually in the Philippines. So, yeah, we're spread out.
Interesting. So you've got a truly global team that is distributed all over. And I just, as a true country person, must comment on what a very Melbourne-centric comment that was, where Madeline lives.
Yeah, and look, my family's from the country, and I've spent a lot of time in the country, but I do love coming back to Melbourne and being like, yep, my neighbours are just there and just there.
Oh, that's so good. So you said that you guys pretty much live in teams. How do you think you've been able to really, I guess, take advantage of what a flexible location, I guess, being not having a physical presence and premise. What are some things that you guys have been able to take advantage of with not actually having that as part of the organisation's physical structure?
Yeah, look, I think, you know,
You go, Erin.
Yeah, you go. Well, look, I was going to. Yeah, this is how our daily conversations go. Look, I think case in point, when the previous CEO resigned, she lived literally around the corner from me, and I took on that role to just kind of caretake while Tessa and I sort of, you know, and the rest of the board tried to come up with, okay, well, what next? And it was literally like by virtue of the fact that we had a virtual office that we were able to even consider the plan of having co-CEOs and having two CEOs in completely different states. So, you know, I think that's real testament. But Tessa, you know, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. By having a virtual team, it's allowed us to access skills that we probably haven't been able to access prior. So it means, you know, we don't have to have someone that is Melbourne based, that we can really access whoever we like with the appropriate skills for the association. So it's really given us the opportunity to, I guess, expand and find the exact person we need for that role, and then also be able to support them as well. I know all of our team very much appreciate being able to work from home and have the flexibility with family and children and times of day that they're able to work. And it just means that, yeah, we've been able to access skills that we previously have not been able to, and really extend our team. And because we're a national association, but very much started in Victoria, and we have about 80% of our members are Victorian, but we have rest of ours in New South Wales, Queensland, Darwin, and NT, and also SA and WA. But it means we're able to access people that live in those states as well, and gives us a little bit of a perspective as to how our organisation is then also perceived and running within those states, which we previously wouldn't have had. So it is really cool. I know Madeline does consider herself New South Wales. I only know that because of the bitter rivalry between New South Wales and Queensland. But it is nice because New South Wales is our second largest state other than Victoria, which is then very closely followed by Queensland when it comes to our association members. So it is really nice that each of us have a little bit of advocacy for our states. And yeah, it just gives us a really nice overview of how we are running nationally as well.
Yeah, that's such a good point. And I think that this is something that that organisations that we've worked with at Pointer Remote over the years have actually really explicitly been able to show as a benefit of having a distributed team when you do it interstate. And it's been quite often, say, accounting firms that will say put on a remote, they might be Queensland based, they put on a remote chartered accountant in Western Australia, and then miraculously they start picking up clients in Western Australia because that person lives there. They can almost do that on the ground marketing. Say, look, I'm an accountant, yes, and no, I don't work for a local firm. I work for a firm in Queensland, and yes, they are flexible, and yes, I get to do my best work because I'm working this way. So it's really interesting to see that you guys have sort of seen that as well, and that's actually part of like the strategy, I guess, that when you've got that distributed team that you can take advantage of that. That's really cool. I wonder as well, when organisations, you guys were already sort of on the front foot as far as being able to transition, you know, with a co-CEO role, because you were already a distributed team. Did you in the past have a bricks and mortar set up, and that this was a transition? And like, how long ago are we sort of talking about with the transitioning into this completely virtual thing? Erin, do you want to fill us in on that?
Yeah. We became a virtual office. Thank you to COVID. So when COVID came along, prior to that, we did have a bricks and mortar office in Melbourne, in Fitzroy, and that was where our staff worked from. And then pretty much in 2020, when everything started shutting down, the office was shut, and the decision was made that we wanted to bring the staff home. And so CEO and staff all moved to home office, and pretty quickly we asked ourselves the question, well, why are we paying our office rent here? This seems to be working. We're getting by. This is working quite nicely, in fact. And so we kind of got rid of our office space and really haven't looked back, I think. It's just been forward.
That's amazing. And I think that that's such a fabulous thing to be able to scratch off the balance sheet is the rent.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If only it was that easy on everything.
So tell me what are some things that you guys have put in place that really has been able to make sure that while there isn't that bricks and mortar and you haven't got that incidental water cooler chat, what are some things that you've put into place to sort of make sure that it's not everyone sort of sitting on their lonesome and that you've actually got that company culture and that's keeping everyone engaged on life and work at the same time?
Yeah, it is really interesting because I know that's often a lot of the concern people have is, it's going to take away from the culture and we feel like we're on our own working. But our team every morning when we sign into just a running virtual office chat that we have in Teams. So everyone signs into that in the mornings. Everyone jumps on. We usually have a good chat about what's happening, how everyone's day was. It was only last week Madeline was like, oh my gosh, there's a massive hawk going past. So it's often in the morning we have a chat and catch up with everyone. And then kind of all of us are there anyway. We just hang out in the virtual office all day. We come and go for things. If it's a lot of it is like, I'll turn off my camera while I'm eating lunch is usually the good one. But we come and go out of that office as we need through different meetings and if it's into another meeting with someone else. But we still really maintain one main channel for anyone that is working on that day. So we can kind of keep everyone up to date with things that are happening on that day. There's a lot of memes, a lot of GIFs that happen through there as well from everyone, which is always really nice and really fun to keep that as well. And I think it is important that we do keep some of those lighthearted things happening as well and keep that kind of fun happening through those channels as well, which is what we have that for. And then we often break off into different meetings if it's particularly the marketing team go off together or it's in regards to making health funds, they go into separate chats on their own and hang out and do that and then come back together. So I think that's a really important part for keeping that cultural aspect together is that all of us do come together that are on the day. And all of us give updates to each other. I think we very much communicate really well as a team to be like, hey, I'm going to be late or I'm actually ducking out to this. I'm coming back to this. I'll be over here. We do have set hours. We're usually there, but we're really flexible with that, which is the absolute bonus of having, all virtual, that if it's like, hey, I need to duck out for an appointment, they duck out, they come back in and they get the flexibility. We give them the flexibility to work whatever they kind of want as long as the work is done. So I think it is really nice to maintain that connection in the office every day in that aspect as well. But that's the kind of keeping that cultural aspect together, I guess, in terms of processes and organization. Our whole systems run on Microsoft Office, but we have planners for each of our members and we can all add on to each other's. And we kind of have processes that everyone leaves comments as to where they're up to. They attach documents to the set projects that we're doing so we can all keep a bit of a tack on each other's work and be like, okay, cool, I can pick that up for you, Erin, while I'm in today, or I can see you're pretty loaded today. I'll pick that up and just see if I can contact those for you. So we do have a united planner that everyone gets to see and very much gets assigned to the projects that they are following, which keeps us all together really nicely as well. And then the girls in the emails have all their own little categories and tags that if Erin needs it, it's tagged with Erin and Erin then reads it when she comes in. So we have done a lot of that organizational part to make sure that everyone is on board as to where things need to go and we keep that communication at a really high level, because I think that's what makes the process quite easy for us, is making sure our organizational structure is really clear and we communicate really effectively.
Okay, well, I have to admit, I was like, I really want to interview these guys because I know they have a distributed team. I know they've got co-CEOs. This is always really interesting. I know they found like one of their really cool staff members through Pointer Remote, so I would love to talk to them. I didn't realize that you guys are like pin up how to do virtual teams.
You're into the back end of things. Like,
wow.
Look, Erin and I are both very
really
organised, colour coordinated people, and it has taken us some very structured time. And that was mainly the thing when we stepped into this role together, that our priority was organisation first, because if we had that, we both knew we could then do our jobs easier. So there was a lot of that started, and honestly, the team that we had in place as we stepped in also had a lot of their own beautiful systems in place, which is really, really handy as well. So we are very lucky that was already somewhat in place for us, and then it was just adjusting a few things as well for them. I'm sure there'll be other things that come up and fires that happen. Erin and I still share like a co-CEO email, and it's always like, did I send that to that? Did I not send that to that? So there is always like what is happening there? And like, what CEO am I today? Am I attending that meeting, or are you attending that meeting? So we're very much fleshing those things out, but that's okay. We get there.
Well, my next question was around like advice that you guys would give to, I guess, organisations that are looking at potentially hiring their first employee, or if they are already an established organisation that like they and are doing this remote work thing for the first time. Erin, would you be able to talk through any sort of advice that you'd have on even just a few of those systems and processes that you put in to start with that you think are non-negotiable and that you would make sure were in place and you have your head around before you start hiring someone?
Yeah, I think for me, probably the non-negotiable is the planner, and being really clear on, okay, how are we going to use this? How do I understand it working, and how can I then get my staff to be working with me on that? For me, that's the key thing to know what the staff are up to, where they're at, and where on earth I'm up to, with my work. So that for me is pretty key. And then probably closely followed by sort of having this policy of, at your desk, camera on, microphone off, but you can always give someone a little wave and go, oh, hey, can I just chat to you for a second? I just need 5 minutes of your time so that I can get this answered. That, I think, just saves a bazillion emails that, again, as Tessa said, going, which bloody email box is that in? Where do I need to search for it? That quick camera on, give someone the wave. Great. Can I chat to you? So they're probably my two that I think are really, really, really important and make that solid foundation to then bring other people on from.
Tessa, have you got any that you'd like to add in there that you think that are must-haves?
Yeah, I certainly agree with Erin that having some kind of, whether it's a planner or whether it's Trello, whether it's Monday.com, whatever your vibe is for your company, something along those lines where projects are distributed to staff with tasking that goes with them, due dates that's attached. All of the documents are then on that one area. It just makes it really tidy and clean for people, and it's a lot easier to understand rather than wasting time on trying to understand the task when we could just be doing the task. So I think that just creates a lot of efficiency within the team as well, and just avoids, again, thousands of emails that I probably am never going to read because there's just too many in there. So we certainly have that. And I think the second thing is that one that creates but day-to-day communication about things. And if it is on a project, putting that communication onto the planner. So then it's not getting caught up in the emails, and then we kind of lose some of the communication or tasking that needs to happen. That was very much what happened when we stepped in. A lot of the tasking was occurring through emails, and then it just gets lost. I don't know what you're up to. What's your due date? Where is our KPI on that? And we really lost that. So attaching that onto each of the planners is very much helpful as well. So I think that is certainly one of the main drivers for keeping us running really well, for sure, and keeping it very efficient. We are still working through at the moment having, and I think this will make our lives a lot easier, is having one system of filing. So everyone's documents we're working on are in one area. Erin laughs because this is her job, not mine. So, we had files in Dropbox, Gmail, OneDrive, Cloud. We had documents in all of them, man. Like, we have an account for everything. And it's stressful because I'm like, where is that document? But we spend 6 hours trying to figure them out. So we are now condensing them into the one area that all of our staff have access to. And when we're working on a document, it's updating it for the entire team. And we're not having to be like, oh, here's the updated version. Here's this. It's just one version that's being updated unanimously across there. And that just triggers another thing is password managers. So all of our team can manage passwords and be like, this is all the passwords for admin, these are all the passwords for marketing, these are all the passwords for events. Saves everyone a heck ton of time.
I don't want to ask this if the answer is horrible and that I'm going to like freak out about, but like, please telling me, are you using an online password manager, or are these sitting in some Word document that gets printed out and stuck in the back of people's diaries and lives in their handbag next to their car keys and their wallet with their home address?
Yeah. We were working off something similar. Yeah.
You could really attach it to your
if I never have to.
It was next level. Talk about cybersecurity. We were there. Yep. So having a secure managed password system that is individually, I guess, tailored for each staff member and what passwords they need for that has been such an efficiency changer.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yep.
Good to hear, because I feel that is literally needs to be 101 of hiring someone remotely.
Yeah,
password
really
management.
Yeah, just send them all in an email.
Yeah. If I never have to send. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, if I never have to send another email going, please see the text message with the Dropbox password, and then sending a text message going, password for the box of drops. Like that'll confuse the hackers.
Yeah.
I know, but we laugh, but I know that many business is still at that stage, and I get it. But I think it just, if you're listening to this and that has not been on your radar, that it should be made a very high priority for your organisation is to get a password security vault. You can do them up. They're cheap as chips. Yeah. They are worth the waiting goal. Yeah, they work.
Yeah, they just work. And, my number of wrinkles and rosacea has gone down since instigating the password manager. Like, it is life-changing on all sorts of levels that you never thought it would be. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so good. Now, we
hold a lot of data in terms of, like health data, Medicare numbers, and all of that kind of stuff for us. So having that cybersecurity is super important for us. And that just adds a level of protection that we're not having the same password across everything, that is creating the passwords for us now as well, which I think is probably something that when you are online is something that becomes a little bit more of a presence, or not really a concern, but an area you've really got to think of, that when you're online, what is that cybersecurity and how are you, I guess, accessing the systems that are out there for it now. But it is something that you have to kind of be like, oh, yeah, cybersecurity needs to be looked at if we're going to be on this virtual pathway.
100%. And like, you've got really, like, we've seen horrific stories in the media about like that, especially around health data, like that it needs to be a priority. I wonder if you've got some hot tips for organisations that like might be already having, say, possibly a hybrid setup where they've got a bricks and mortar store or clinic or front of house or warehouse or whatever that looks like, where some people are coming in and some people might be distributed elsewhere, or those others that are fully remote and fully distributed. Have you got one hot tip each? Erin, you can give us your one first about something that you're like, that we are nailing, like something that we are really doing a good job at, that you would say, get on board.
Yeah, look, I think it's probably our culture. It's probably our workplace culture of having these, chats that at the start of the morning of, hey, how was your weekend? Tell me what's happening, or talking to your staff member and them saying, oh, sorry, my husband's just coming in. And you're like, no, that's great. How you going? What's happening? So having that culture of just giving 5 or 10 minutes in the morning to, how's life? You're in your house at the moment, and I respect that. And I want to know you as well, in you, the person, not just you, the staff member or my colleague that I work with. So I think we're doing a really good job of that, because as a consequence, I see the team working so well together and respectfully together. And I feel so proud that, we're a virtual team, but we all have a really fabulous connection. And then I think it makes our work better. For me, that's such an important thing in a team, is that you know each other on beyond just colleague level. Have that connection. So that's my big tip. Really foster that culture. Really acknowledge those connections with your staff.
Goodness me, icing on the cake. You're top of the class, you two. Look at you. Tessa, have you got your hot tip?
Yeah, look, I definitely agree. Culture is great as well, Erin. My hot tip would be ensuring that the entire team has the same direction as whoever is leading the ship. That I think that certainly makes sure that, one, the culture continues to grow, but everyone is working towards a unified goal. That very clear on expectations and very clear on company vision and aim. So at the core, what is our company about on a value level? So like, how do we want to treat our staff? How do we want to treat customers? What is the vision we put forward? So I think having that immensely clear from the start, and then your management team fully dedicating to portraying that. And then that leaks through the staff as well, that they see that same portrayal. And then just being clear and transparent probably as well about what your goals are for that 12-month period, or if you're someone that does a 2-year plan, being very clear and transparent about the challenges, but then also what your vision is for the next period of time. So everyone's like, yep, cool, I know exactly what my job is, I know exactly what we're all working towards, and we're all working towards that same goal, rather than us all running on different branches of the tree and wondering why we're never getting anywhere. That we're kind of all on the same river is really important. So I think we do a really great job of that our team are all very much, although we have different projects, Erin and I take separate projects. If a new project comes into the company, we decide whose skills are best suited for it and whose plate is looking the fullest, and distribute that out to whatever CEO will best complete that. And we very much follow that. If it is Erin's project and someone contacts me, I will help them as best I can and direct towards Erin. Or if Erin's like, Tess, I need some help on this project, I will pick it up to help, but I am not the leader of that project. So I think it's being really clear as to the directions that each of you are going, and respecting that then.
Mm-hmm. Who owns what?
Yes.
Well, yeah. I'm like I said, I'm just adding even more of my fangirl, like I'll put you in my little fangirl pile over here with how
you can come join Madeline, that's fine.
How you're doing things.
Madeline needs a few extra hands anyway.
I thank you both for your time. That's been some really, really interesting takeaways for me, which was specifically around that consolidation piece of like having things all in one place. I really love as well that version control management so that you're not resending Word docs with version 117, on the document back and forth on email. So I really love that. But I really, the fact that, Erin, that your first thing straight up was that your culture piece, like, I love that. Like, and I think that being on the end where I work with organisations to help them find good people to work with them remotely, for me to be able to hand on heart say that organisations that prioritise culture for people that are working remotely for them, like, you are, that is just setting things up to hum. And I think that that's something that anyone listening to this, if that can be their big takeaway, is the fact that if you've got your people and your culture right up front, you get the best out of them, you get the best results for your clients or your members or your customers or whoever you're dealing with. You're getting the best of everyone when you've got their priorities up there. So, well, congratulations. It's actually really, it's great when you get to hear that organisations are really nailing it like that. So I really thank you so much for your time.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you, Jo. Thanks for having us both. Yeah.